Good morning, members. It's past 9 o'clock and we have already formed a quorum. I declare the meeting of the FA panel to order. First item, confirmation of minutes of meeting and matters arising. Minutes of the meeting held on the 10th of October 2013 have been circulated to members via paper number CB-139/13-14. The Secretariat has not received any proposals for amendments. If there are no amendments here and now, then let's confirm the minutes. Alright, if there is no objection, then minutes confirmed. Information papers issued since the last meeting. Since the last regular meeting held on the 9th of July 2013, a total of 9 papers have been received and they are set out in the agenda. Next, date of next meeting and items for discussion. Next meeting will be held on the 2nd of December. The administration has proposed 4 items. Number 1, briefing by the Financial Secretary on Hong Kong's latest overall economic situation. Number 2, 2014-2015 budget consultation. Number 3, briefing on proposed legislation to enable the issuance of Islamic bond under the government bond program. And number 4, plan for 2016 population by census. So my question for members is, do you have any comments on these items, as there are many items, and if members agree, then we have to start at 9 and is expected to end by 12:30. Mr. Wong Kok Heng. Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 11 on the list of outstanding items, Madam Chair, is about the duration of lunch break under the extended trading hours of Hong Kong securities market. The administration said that in the fourth quarter of this year, an information paper will be provided by the administration. So, roughly speaking, in the upcoming meeting is going to be, as the upcoming meeting is going to be the last meeting within this year, can we include this item on the agenda? Because this is, after all, a matter that is very close to the hearts of many in the profession. Well, last time when I met with the Bureau Director together with the Deputy Director, we took it up with the financial, or rather SFST, and he said that a paper will be available shortly. So shall we wait until after the paper is available, and if members would like to discuss that, we'll take it up with the administration as soon as possible, because we have already got 4 items on the agenda. Madam Chair, well, if the administration provides an information paper without a time slot for discussing that paper, that would not be appropriate. Let's see how other members think. Well, Madam Chair, in fact, within the trade, with regard to the meal break, there is already a lot of grievances, and they've already staged protests and marches, and that has been widely reported in the press, and therefore I think this council should discuss the issue. Even if there are 4 items on the agenda for the next meeting, I think no matter what, I think we can discuss that at the meeting after next, the latest. All right. We'll convey members' views to the administration. We'll see if they can provide the information paper as soon as possible, and then if possible, then we can include that in the agenda for our January meeting. Okay? So we'll inform the administration that we would like to discuss that as soon as possible, because last time when we met with the Secretary, we already brought it up. And also, I'd like to report to you this. We already indicated members' concerns about the free trade zone or free trade area in Shanghai, and also our cooperation with other mainland areas. Well, we have already expressed our concerns. I've also written to Mr. Chen Tak Lam, the Norman Chen, the CEO of the HKMA. So when necessary, we can also ask Mr. Norman Chen to brief us. We can put questions to him next time when he comes. All right. shall we fix the 4 items for the next meeting? Moving on, item 4. Briefing on the Inland Revenue Amendment Bill 2014 as it involves legislative proposals. Other members have been invited to join us. So let's invite the administration team to join us. The administration has also provided a paper. That's paper number CB bracket 1, 155 bracket 02. Administration, you can walk us through as soon as you're ready. Good morning, Madam Chair and members. There are 2 amendments here. First is to give captive insurers a concessionary profit tax rate for their business of insurance and reinsurance of offshore risks. Well, at present, for profit tax rates is set at 16.5%. It will be halved. And the background to this is in 2013-14, in the budget announced by the Financial Secretary, one of the proposals is to offer this concessionary profit tax rate for captive insurers for their business of insurance and insurance of offshore risks in order to encourage them to be set up in Hong Kong. What's meant by captive insurance or insurers? Well, in simple terms, actually very often we're talking about larger companies or consortiums. They will set up a dedicated company to underwrite their own risks, and that's to enhance their risk management. Well, the history of captive insurance is very long. It started in the 1950s, and in Europe and the US, usually larger companies or corporations would set up captive insurers in order to manage their risk. But then it's relatively rare in Asia in terms of asset management. I think it's good to do it because we do have very good financial discipline, and therefore I think we have an edge in establishing or in doing that in order to establish ourselves as a domicile for captive insurers. What is worth mentioning is that in June 2012, the State Council announced a series of measures to encourage mainland businesses to set up captive insurance companies, and with the state policy support, we believe that the potential for Hong Kong would be tremendous. And the second amendment is about MPF. As members would recall, earlier on, this council enacted the Mandatory Provident Fund Scheme Ordinance Amendment of Schedule 3 Notice 2013, which increase the maximum income from $25,000 to $30,000, and it's going to come into effect on the 1st of January next year. And this is a corresponding change in order to align the two, because for salary workers, well, in the contribution to the schemes, they would be able to enjoy tax deduction. So these are the 2 proposed amendments, and I welcome members' questions. All right, thank you. So 2 members have indicated that they'd like to ask questions. 3 now. Four minutes each. Mr. Chen Kin-po. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to see that the administration is going to implement this concessionary profit tax rate for captive insurers. Indeed, some companies have already applied to the administration for setting up captive insurers in Hong Kong, and we'd like to thank the administration for its hard work, because after the State Council's announcement that it will support enterprises to form capital insurers in Hong Kong in order to enhance their risk management, and the administration has done a lot of work, and the profession or the trade has been working very closely with the administration to promote this. Well, Hong Kong does have a very good potential, and the insurance sector would also like to see this happen. In fact, for the capital from these companies, most of them would come from the mainland. I think many people are concerned whether or not that might involve double taxation. Without this problem of double taxation, I'm sure many mainland enterprises would be very enthusiastic in coming to Hong Kong to set up such insurers. So please do address the issue of double taxation. And we are proposing to halve the profit tax rate. In Singapore, for the same item, actually they're charging 0%. So we are only halfway there. So will you be reviewing that regularly, to see whether or not we should follow the example of Singapore? Because in the long run, only if we are able to do that, will we be able to catch up with Singapore. And so is it necessary for us to waive the profits tax altogether?
Thank you, Mr. Chan Kim Paul, for your questions. I'll answer the second one first, and regarding the one on double taxation, I will invite the IRD to respond. It's true that the concession rate is at 50% of our profits tax rate, compared to cities that are eyeing to become the financial center in the Middle East. We are inferior, not to mention Singapore. However, we're going to review that in due course. We've discussed with the industry, tax concession is just a form. We have a very sound regulatory framework, which is another competitive edge. We've discussed with companies, and they have confidence in our regulatory mechanism. That's a very important point. From time to time, we have regular reviews of our tax rates to see whether there should be any adjustment. And we have had a lot of discussions with the IRD in considering this concession. And there are a number of factors, such as the loss in tax revenue. So this is just the first step, not the last. We hope to do more in the future, so as to further enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness. And I'll give the floor to Mr. Chiu, Deputy Commissioner, to take the first question. Mr. Chiu, thank you. We have a tax arrangement with the mainland. An enterprise from the mainland, including a captive insurer, well, if it has an establishment in Hong Kong, then we do have the right to impose tax. And on the mainland, tax concessions will be offered there. Whereas for enterprise from Hong Kong with an office on the mainland can impose tax, and we in Hong Kong has to provide concession. Under the arrangement, regardless of the source of origin of the enterprise, there will be no question of double taxation. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, I have two questions for the administration. Because the maximum RI has been increased, you have to make a technical amendment to the legislation to increase the concession rate. What about employees of other schemes, of other retirement schemes? Are they eligible for similar concessions? Because in Hong Kong, we've got pension funds as well as other retirement schemes. So I'd like to ask whether there's any policy to amend the situation. We have an aging population. MPF contributions cannot address the issue of offsetting contributions with LSP and SP. So I'd like to ask the administration whether the administration can take the lead and do a little bit more in terms of tax concessions. For employees' shares of contribution, can you increase the rate of tax concession, please? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ho. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Wong Kwok Hing, for your question. For the first question, the answer is yes. Similar concessions will be granted for other retirement schemes. Second, whether we can offer tax concession to encourage employees to make voluntary contributions. Yes, that can be considered. We have started the public consultation for the budget as well as the policy address. And we welcome members to put that proposal to the administration at the consultation for our consideration. Chairman, I am happy to have that very positive response from Mr. Zhang. I hope that the administration can give serious consideration to my proposal because our population is really aging. According to the latest document on population policy, in the coming decades, the population would age very, very rapidly. So for voluntary schemes entered into by members of the public, no matter whether it is for self-employed persons or employees, now if their savings can meet their retirement needs, this will help the administration to reduce its burden on social welfare and social security. While you cannot resolve the hedging problem, offsetting problem now, if the administration can do a little bit more, it is still desirable. So I hope the administration can give positive consideration to my proposal. So you've heard Mr. Wong's comments. Any supplement? No? Oh, thank you. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you. I welcome the proposal for the captive insurers. I have a few technical questions first. Can you estimate the number of companies from the mainland or from Asia setting up companies in Hong Kong to act as captive insurers? Second, to follow on Mr. Chio's question or answer on double taxation, in the agreement between Hong Kong and the mainland, I'd like to know whether is an exemption of income stream or credit against the income liability? Thank you. It is hard for us to make any prediction as to the number of companies that will come to Hong Kong. But after the announcement by the FS in last year's budget, the insurance authority has already received many inquiries. So we are already doing something concrete, and I'm sure there will be good news to be announced very soon. The second question I defer to the IRD. Mr. Chiu, under the arrangement with the mainland, on avoidance of double taxation, we mainly use the offsetting arrangements. Now, if a tax is already levied in the mainland, then Hong Kong has the obligation to provide the concession. However, in Hong Kong, our taxation system has the concept of a source from the mainland. Well, in our domestic law, we do not impose a tax on such enterprises because the source of income is not from Hong Kong. I think we have been too slow in implementing the concession for captive insurers. Of course, I welcome this cut in profits tax. Now, in their first and second year of operation in Hong Kong, can we waive all their profits tax? I know that the government has established a policy and ILD has income consideration. But can you spend some time to study my proposal? My proposal is in the first and second year of operation, these captive insurers can be waived of all their profits tax. The proposed amendment is to give effect to the policy announced by the FS in last year's budget. So for this amendment, we have to adhere to his policy. And that is to offer 50% discount in the profits tax of captive insurance. Mr. Kenneth Leung proposed further concessions. Let's give a try to the proposal here first, and then after a couple of years we can review the situation. If after the concessions we still believe that further concessions are warranted, we can consider that possibility. Anyone more? If not, I'll ask some questions. I welcome the concessions proposed. Mr. Chen Kim-po and the Deputy Secretary mentioned that there is a rising trend for companies to set up captive insurance business in Hong Kong. I'd like to know, in addition to tax concessions, what other considerations do these prospective companies have, and what policies do you have to help them? I know other countries, MTLC is listed in Bermuda. Of course, it is a private company, but the government is the biggest owner. So if you consider asking it to change its site of registration back to Hong Kong. Thank you. We've discussed with the industry as well as potential companies that might set up captive insurance business in Hong Kong. For companies from the mainland, they feel that the regulatory framework in Hong Kong is very sound. And we also have a good supply of professionals in the accountancy, legal, and insurance sectors. These professionals can offer prompt services for their captive insurance business. And Hong Kong is also rather close to mainland cities, and in this regard, Hong Kong enjoys a competitive edge, and there is also the policy support from the country. So tax concession is just a message. The important point is to promote Hong Kong further to these potential companies. In Asia, many large enterprises are not very familiar with the idea of captive insurance. So we will promote Hong Kong to more enterprises in Hong Kong. Many companies have got their captive insurance business. And I believe each enterprise has its own considerations, and where should they place their subsidiaries. They have their own considerations. Of course, we want them to move back to Hong Kong, and later we can discuss with the relevant enterprises. I'd like to know the scale of operation of these captive insurers in Hong Kong. Do you have any statistics? Frankly speaking, we've only got one captive insurer, and that is a company under Sinopec. They've got about 10 employees. How come the number is so small? Because in Hong Kong, we have many professionals offering management portfolios for these companies. Usually they are from international insurance companies. They offer consultancy services to captive insurers to help them to manage their insurance business. So the number of employees will not be too many. However, they employ companies offering supportive services to these companies. And if we develop further, we will attract more such professionals to Hong Kong, because we know that some of the jobs have been lost to nearby cities. If members have no further questions, we end the discussion here. Thank you. Next, let's move on. Thank you, Administration. Next, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Finance Ministers Meeting 2014. Because the item involves establishment and financial proposals, other members have been invited to join this part of our discussion. Please invite the representatives from the administration to come into the room first.
So please start when you're ready. The paper has been circulated to members. Yes, thank you. Good morning, members. This paper invites members' views on the administration's plan to seek the approval in support of the FC and its establishment subcommittee of the staffing and financial requirement in order to organize the finance ministers meeting for the APEC meeting. Well, we have had experience in organizing this, and the purpose is to promote regional economic development and also financial stability, and also the development of the financial market. Since 1994, APEC's finance minister has been holding its meeting in different locations. In recent years, they have held it in Moscow of Russia and also Bali of Indonesia. And China is the chairman for the APEC 2014 and is responsible for chairing the annual economic leaders meeting, as well as a number of ministerial and other meetings on different policy areas. And we have been honored to have been asked by the central authorities to organize this. This is the first such meeting being held since we joined in 1991, and that would also enable finance ministers to exchange views on regional and global economic outlook and to discuss relevant issues, and also for participants like Hong Kong to also brief other members as to our developments and also opportunities, and that would also help reinforce and enhance our role as an international financial and business center. And the meeting will be held for 3 days in September next year. And 21 APEC member economies, participants of observing international organizations, will also be attending the FMM, and the SAR government will have to be responsible for organizing the event, including the provision of venue, transport, and also protocol, and so on. The administration attaches a lot of importance to the meeting, and we will have to grasp the time in order to do the organization work in order to ensure a smooth running of the meeting. In order to ensure that I will be able to meet the needs, and in coming up with a proposal, we have made reference to our past experience in organizing similar events. And in terms of manpower, we propose to create or set up an event coordination team responsible for the run-up to the FMM, and this ECT is to be chaired or headed by an OSGB, and also it will also be underpinned by an SPEO, and there will also be 18 non-directorate grade staff providing support, and the police will also be setting up an 8 strong organizing team or coordination team responsible for security and related matters. With members' support, we will be putting forth these proposals to the ESC on the 13th of this month. In terms of the financial implications, we expect that the related spending will be about $84 million, setting aside some $19 million from the CSB, and also using the existing resources, which is about $1.05 million within this year. During the next financial year, we will have to have non-recurrent spending of some $63 million for the next year in order to meet the venue cost, IT, transport, security, hotel, and so on and so forth. So that will go to meet those expenses, and with member support, we plan to seek FC's approval on the 6th of December. And the organization of this event will help boost Hong Kong's international image, and that would also help consolidate our status as an international financial center. We hope to get members' support. Well, 3 members would like to ask questions. I propose that each member be given 4 minutes. Mr. Albert Ho. Madam Chair, as the Permanent Secretary just said, if the meeting is held in Hong Kong, that would indeed help boost Hong Kong's international status. And I'm sure many senior ministers, yes, it's a ministerial meeting, but I'm sure in many countries their leaders would also be coming to Hong Kong. Is that right? Apparently, some state leaders will be coming too, because during the last 2 occasions, the president was also there. Is that right, Ms. Au? Well, for the APEC meetings, we're talking about a series of meetings, and well, in 2014, our state will be the chairman, and as chairman, we will have to chair a number of meetings, including what Mr. Albert Ho was referring to, the economic leaders meeting. That's the highest level. But then before the economic leaders hold their meetings, usually it would be held in December. There will be a series of ministerial and other meetings, including the finance minister's meetings. So here we are talking about the FMM, which is going to be held in Hong Kong. So it's mainly an FMM, but then it will be an eye-catching event because all the finance ministers around the world will be here. And then in 2014, it's going to be a very important year for Hong Kong. I suspect that constitutional reforms will also be a hot topic. And as we know, if the debate escalates into an unresolvable social conflict, and if Occupy Central indeed takes place in July next year, will the administration be concerned that well, initially this event will help boost Hong Kong's international image? Will that result in ruining Hong Kong's reputation? Of course, I'm not suggesting that we should not hold it. I hope that it will be successful, because I hope that constitutional reforms can be resolved properly, so that we will indeed be able to implement universal suffrage for the chief executive election, so that a consensus can be fostered. So my question for the administration is, are you confident that the problems involving constitutional reforms can be resolved, and then we will not have Occupy Central, and the FMM can be held in Hong Kong peacefully and harmoniously without bringing shame to Hong Kong? Ms. Au, thank you, Mr. Ho, for your reminder. Indeed, in hosting this high-level FMM in Hong Kong, we do have the responsibility to make sure that the meeting will be held smoothly and peacefully. And in the past, we have had some experience in organizing a number of events in Hong Kong, and I'm sure those, both ourselves and the police have had a lot of experience in maintaining law and order in organizing international events. The most important thing is to be well prepared, and then if there is anything to do with law and order, we can also communicate very effectively with the relevant authorities beforehand. In other words, even if there are large-scale rallies and demonstrations, you'll be able to resolve them by implementing crowd management measures. Yes, on your side, you might be able to do it, but then a lot of police officers will have to be deployed, and I hope that we don't have to deploy the PLA. But then if that's the case, if the worst comes to the worst, if the worst case scenario happens, so that's my question. I'm sure the administration must have done some risk assessment. So is it that you're of the view that these will not materialize, or that you'll be working closely with the central authorities to ensure that this will not happen? Ms. Au? Yes, as I said, with regard to risk management, well, we do have departments which have such experience in organizing major events in the past. The most important thing is in undertaking risk assessment, we will be well prepared so that for all the issues or problems relating to the law and order, they'll be dealt with properly. But then the most important thing is to implement universal suffrage in Hong Kong properly. Mrs. Regina Ip. Well, Madam Chair, I'm very glad to hear that in September next year, we're going to organize this finance minister meeting under APEC that would enhance Hong Kong's reputation internationally. I'm actually helping other people to organize this major event in 2016. That's the Mathematics Olympics. So Hong Kong will have to be the host, and we will have to be responsible for both bottom and also everything. So what are we going to do next year for the FMM? All right, in the US, actually, they will be covering all the costs, and they would be actually offering free air tickets and so on. So how about the minister's wives? Yes, they're going to stay here for just 3 days. But then, well, if they have family members coming along, and they would also be engaging in some tourism or sightseeing activities, would you be also organizing such activities for them? Permanent Secretary. Well, according to past experience and protocol, all right, they have 21 members, and with regard to the ministers of the 21-member economies, the host will have to provide hotel accommodation and transport, including a saloon car and also chauffeur. So that's necessary because if it's held in Hong Kong, then the SAR government will have to provide those. With regard to other accompanying members, well, we will have to talk to the hotel so that some convenience can be provided so that they can book the hotels in advance. And Mrs. Regina Ip also made a very good point. That is, through this opportunity, we would very much like to publicize and showcase to our guests of honor Hong Kong as an international city. We would also like to show them around in the city. So the tourism board and the tourism sector will be coming up with some attractions to attract these ministers and their accompanying members to travel around Hong Kong. So the cost that we'll be covering would just be for the ministers, and then for the accompanying members, then they'll be paying for them themselves. So for IMO, we have to cover everything. It's like the Mathematics Olympics. We will have to pay for everything. And then for such FMM, do they have wives or partners or spouses coming too? Well, that's a very good question, because I tried to check APEC meetings in the past. They would use the term spouse, so whether they are husbands or wives. So we've actually we will be bringing this up with the APEC Secretariat. Actually, they can have accompanying persons. So so they use the term spouses. So they can actually use the term accompanying persons. Next, Mr. Chen Kam Lam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Hong Kong is an international financial center, and we are also a very important financial center for our country. That's why we are very honored to have been designated by the state authorities to be the host for the FMM next year. I think we are very honored to be able to do that, and I hope that the entire community will support that. And just now, with regard to what's been said by Mr. Albert Ho, I find it really shocking, because without the so-called genuine universal suffrage described by them, then whatever happens afterwards cannot be held very smoothly, because they will be occupying Central, they will be stirring up trouble, and you will not be able to function properly. I think that is really very worrying, Madam Chair. I think Hong Kong in the international community in the past has played a very important role, and our economy has been able to develop very robustly, and in terms of our competitiveness, I think we have maintained one of the top economies worldwide. But then for people with their wrong ulterior motives, if they try to stir up trouble in Hong Kong, then I would find it extremely regrettable. So my question for the Permanent Secretary is, all right, in making the preparation on this occasion, yes, there are only 21 member economies with finance ministers coming to attend the meeting, but then worldwide, Hong Kong is going to be in the limelight because everybody will be watching. In the past, we have successfully organized many international events in Hong Kong. But then, indeed, at different times, as we know, there were also political forces trying to stir up trouble in Hong Kong. So I'm sure Hong Kong police have the ability to maintain law and order in our society.
We don't want to see problems turning Hong Kong into a laughingstock and give people the impression that Hong Kong is not a safe city or not a good city for business development. So I'd like to ask whether the administration will do more publicity in the run-up to the event to tell people how we will have a good economic development in Hong Kong, and how we that will be able to ensure the smooth conduct of the conference. Yes, it is important. Risk management is always important in hosting international events. We will conduct all necessary risk assessments with the police to ensure that everything is well planned. As regards publicity mentioned by Mr. Cham Kam Lam, yes, it is a very important element of our preparation work. We'll not just do it internationally, but also locally, to let people understand the importance of the event to Hong Kong and special arrangements at different times during the meeting. Mr. Chen, our future financial development relies on support from our country. And the country has also provided a lot of opportunities for us. Still, we are an international financial center, so it is important that we do the meeting well. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, all right, he's not in the room. Mr. Kenneth Leung, thank you. Annex F has given us an indicative breakdown of non-recurring financial implications. The total expenditure is around $63.45 million. I have some questions in relation to some assumptions. I do know the number of visitors to Hong Kong during the 3 days for this particular meeting. Well, according to our projection from previous meetings, there will be about 800 odd. Now, item 6, for instance, hotel accommodation budget, $16 million. Can you provide further breakdown of this item? You told Mrs. Regina Ip that you offer free hotel accommodation to ministers and their spouses only. How come you have to spend $16 million if this is the case? And usually, for transport arrangement. You're going to buy brand new saloon cars for them, so you spend $5 million on transport. I'd like to know whether the limousines will be just for the finance ministers only. What about their company persons? Are you going to buy brand new limousines for this purpose? P.S. Well, the proposed breakdown here is made drawing reference from previous similar events. Well, in 2006, we had the World Telecom Conference. 2005, the ministerial meetings of World Trade Organization. In 1997, there was also the World Bank meeting in Hong Kong. So we've drawn references from these events. Regarding the figures here, well, from now until the Finance Committee meeting, we can provide further breakdowns. So in addition to finance ministers, we've got also senior officials from high-profile organizations such as IMF, WB, so on and so forth. We have to provide transportation for them. As for whether we should buy brand new limousines or will there be sponsorship given by the suppliers, and would the limousines be sold after the event? Well, we will consider all these possibilities. All right, please give us some of the assumptions you've used, and also please provide further breakdowns. As for limousines, if you want Hong Kong to be a green city, please consider using electrical vehicles. I know you always buy brand new vehicles from suppliers, and after a couple of days you resell them. This is very environmentally unfriendly. So can you please consider using green vehicles such as electrical ones? Thank you. We will consider such proposals. Mr. Andrew Leung, I think Hong Kong is the place for running the meeting, because Hong Kong is a finance city, and it's good that we have so many finance ministers to see for themselves our development in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a renminbi offshore center. Our economy can showcase our strength to these finance ministers. Now, starting from 2014, we are going to enter into free trade negotiations with ASEAN. It would be good to allow Asian finance ministers to see the tremendous opportunities available in Hong Kong, and how we can directly contribute to their economies. So this is really the most opportune time to run the APEC meeting. So you should see how we can showcase Hong Kong's vibrancy and strength in financial services, and see them what role we can play in ASEAN. Of course, the country could have assigned that role to Qianhai or Shanghai. So I think having the APEC meeting here will be a boost to our capability. And what about security? How can you ensure that these VIPs can hold meetings very smoothly in Hong Kong to achieve the purpose of the meeting? Hong Kong is an open city. Many people will take this opportunity to express their views. This is permissible in Hong Kong, given we are such an open city. Still, how can we ensure that the meetings can be conducted smoothly? Mr. Kenneth Leung talked about the limousines. In fact, we are very experienced in this regard. When WTO was held in Hong Kong, we also provided limousines, and also the aquarium events of the Olympics, and even for golf tournaments, there were also limousines sponsored by suppliers. So the government purchased them at a very low price and resold them afterwards. It's very friendly, environmentally friendly. The limousines would not be dumped after a few days' use. So what will be the arrangement for the coming meeting? Thank you very much, Mr. Leung, for your proposals. We really want to maximize this opportunity to showcase Hong Kong as a world financial center. We believe we can do a good job in both bilateral and multilateral matters. The Finance Ministry is the chairman of the coming APEC meeting, and we're still finalizing the agenda. I think we'll exchange views on cooperation between this region and the world, and also how we can promote capital raising. In this regard, Hong Kong is very strong, and how can we make use of innovation in financial products and services to serve the economy better, SMEs in particular. And I think for renminbi business, I think we can do a lot of bilateral and multilateral discussions. Many participants are major trading partners of Hong Kong, and only about 16% of this business is settled through renminbi. So there is a lot of room for further promotion of the use of renminbi for settlement in international trade. We can show them our infrastructure in the conduct of renminbi business and how we can serve these countries better. So I think this will be very useful in enhancing our position as a world renminbi offshore center. Well, our alliance will give you full support for the meeting. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, we have the opportunity to run this international event in Hong Kong next September. As Mr. Andrew Leung said, we give you our full support. This is such a large-scale meeting. I think we should ensure that everything is perfect, and where it is needed, we should spend what is needed to prepare for the meeting. And regarding proposals on transportation and hotel accommodation, I think we should deal with these matters using the best means. Finance ministers as well as world leaders or leaders of states will be in Hong Kong for the exchange. How can we make use of this opportunity to show them what Hong Kong is like as far as possible? So they will be meeting every day in HKCEC, and in other countries when there are similar events, they have breakup sessions, photo taking sessions, using making full use of special features of Hong Kong. So I think such arrangements are also important. Mr. Andrew Leung said that we should make use of these opportunities to promote Hong Kong's status as an offshore renminbi business center, and we should show other countries how we can make use of this opportunity to have good exchange with other countries. Can the administration tell us what arrangements are there? There are views in Hong Kong that we should make use of this large-scale meeting to promote our center, our status as a financial and a tourism hub. Yes, of course, we want to make everything perfect. We want to be, we don't want to be extravagant, but we want to make sure that everything is presentable and decent. It's true that Hong Kong is a popular tourist destination. So many famous figures and their accompany persons will be in Hong Kong. We will discuss with the tourism board and hotels and tourism attractions. After non-meeting time, we will encourage these people to visit our tourism spots, and usually there will be cultural programs for participating member economies to showcase their special culture and characteristics. Through multilateral and bilateral activities, we can make use of the time outside meetings. We'll discuss with TDC and also Invest Hong Kong to see how we can make everything perfect.
Yes, Mr. Lam. In terms of demonstrations, marches or rallies and so on, last time when we organized similar international meetings, inevitably there are bound to be such rallies and so on. I'm sure Hong Kong Police Force will be able to cope with any incidents like that. But then how are we going to ensure that Hong Kong's economy and economic activities will be subject to the minimum disruption? Well, we have to be very careful. We don't want to see the entire central and Wan Chai districts being paralyzed. So I hope that you'll spend more efforts on that. All right, that's for your consideration. And finally, it's my turn. All right, this meeting will indeed enhance Hong Kong's role as an international financial and trading center. I hope that you take the opportunity to ensure that all the participants and their accompanying persons will understand Hong Kong as an international financial city. And I think to members of the public, this is also a very good learning opportunity. You haven't talked about this. Will you be working with the HAB and the Education Bureau? Will you be able to take the opportunity to disseminate the information to our public, in particular our students? Because for many students, they have no idea as to what this means, what's meant by APEC or the finance ministers' meetings, and who the participants are, who the members are, and their background. So will you be doing that? I think this is a very good opportunity to enable the community at large, in particular our students, to understand a bit better about Hong Kong's role as an international financial center. Thank you, Madam Chair. As another member has also said, in terms of promotion and publicity, will we be prepared to be more innovative? Indeed, I think, Madam Chair, you made a very good suggestion. That is with regard to district council and different sectors, in particular in a district where events or activities will be held, we will have to explain in greater detail to the public so that they will have a better understanding of what this is all about. And also for cultural shows and so on, I'm sure the education sector can also make contribution. We will also be making use of a website to disseminate the information so that for the younger generation and the students, they would also be able to understand a bit more through social media. I think this is really a very good opportunity for us to publicize it to the public. Well, my understanding is that for such FMM, they will be discussing very important issues, and most of the meetings would not be open to the public in any way. But then I wonder if students can also learn a bit more through this. So if some parts of the events can be opened up to the public so that they would be able to have some first-hand experience or understanding as to how these events are being held in Hong Kong, I think that would also be good. Next, Mr. Cheung, our Deputy Chairman. Yes, Madam Chair, we are very pleased to see that Hong Kong will be able to host this FMM under APEC. In particular, the financial services sector is in support of that. This is a very rare opportunity for us to do it. It will help enhance our role as an international financial center. It will also boost our international image. I heard Mr. Albert Ho say that he's concerned that in the course of the FMM meeting, the Occupy Central movement might disrupt the smooth running of the meeting. I think that would have very significant impact on the financial market. We hope that they would not be resorting to such tactics to achieve their political means, because that would undermine Hong Kong's status as an international city. So has the administration conducted any assessment? Will proper arrangements be put in place to ensure that this international event can be held smoothly in Hong Kong? Permanent Secretary, well, the police will be setting up an organizing team. It will also conduct a very detailed and comprehensive assessment on risks, and comprehensive planning will also be made. And it's not possible for us to give you all the details here. But then I believe that given our past experience in organizing international events, as we can see, the police have done very remarkable jobs in the past, and therefore, so long as we can explain a bit more to all sectors of the community, I'm sure we'll be able to do a good job on this occasion. Well, I'd like to know this more. Permanent Secretary, you talk about the event organizing or coordination team. Other than the FSB, which departments or bureaus will be involved? Because in my view, I think different departments and bureaus will have to work together before we can do a good job. Whether or not we're promoting Hong Kong to our guests or publicizing the event with the public, and also for security arrangements and so on. So what is your initial thinking? With regard to the ECT to be set up within the FSB, will be including the GIS and also the policy bureaus and so on. But then we will also be setting up steering committees and also working groups involving representatives from different departments and institutions. And as I said, the police will also be setting up a coordinating team, and that would be responsible for security mainly. All right, this is the first time that we will be organizing this, and through the meeting, we would also hope that that would also help enhance Hong Kong's role as an international financial center. So please make sure that the arrangements will be put in place properly. Thank you. Thank you. Next item. Retention of a supernumerary directorate post in the financial services branch of the FSTB for implementation of initiatives to advance financial cooperation and so on and so forth. So as it involves a funding proposal, all members of the council have been invited to join.
係啦，如果政府當局係準備好，請你介。
All right, administration team, you can start as soon as you're ready. Thank you, Madam Chair. We'd like to retain an AOSGB post within the Bureau. In fact, as members might recall, that was set up 2 years ago, and it's an AOSGC post, and the main duty is to deal with advancing financial cooperation with the mainland. And well, of course, during the past 2 years, we have made very marked progress in terms of cooperation with the mainland. In particular, we have also made some substantial progress in becoming the offshore RMB center in terms of the establishment of capital pool, and also in terms of the diversification of investment products, and we have also been able to take care of our financial markets infrastructure. For example, the settlement system. And also under CEPA's supplementary agreement, we have also got some new initiatives under CEPA. So we expect that such cooperation will only increase in the future, and we will have to continue with our efforts. We will have to develop further opportunities. At the same time, well, Hong Kong is not just a financial center for our country. We're actually also faced with many international developments, including the regulation of our financial market. Well, internationally speaking, since 2008, since the financial tsunami, with regard to the systemic risk of the financial systems worldwide, there have been a lot of initiatives and proposals. And as a responsible financial center, we will also be implementing many of these initiatives. These would include two aspects. First, in terms of preparation. So, on withstanding the possible financial risks, we have to be prepared for that. And some of the examples include the Basel Agreement in terms of the capital arrangement for banks, and also lately with regard to derivatives, outside or over-the-counter derivatives, we also have to regulate them. And if there is any development which might result in important financial institutions facing certain risks or even failure on the part of some financial institutions, then internationally there have been some discussion by the Financial Stability Board, and the conclusion is that we might have to implement some resolution regime. By that we mean that, well, if there are financial institutions that might pose risk to the local and international financial order, then we will have to deal with them very carefully in order to ensure that we can minimize the impact of their failure on the local and international market. So the risks are indeed rather tremendous. That's why we have to maintain or retain the D2 post, who will be responsible for that as well. And he or she will be liaising closely with the relevant regulatory authority by coming up with some proposals, and there will be further consultation on that. So we hope that members will support us in retaining that post, and we are proposing to keep it for another 24 months, starting from the start of the next financial year. So that's my brief introduction. So I'll be happy to take questions. Yes, Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I understand that there are two important functions to the supernumerary post. Number one, advancing financial cooperation with the mainland, and second, international commitments to strengthen financial regulation and maintain financial system stability. And you talk about financial regime, i.e. risk management. So, but then other than these two, can you further elaborate on what this post is going to do in the next 2 years in terms of advancing financial cooperation with the mainland and also implementing some international commitments? What important tasks will this post have to do? And also in the long run, if there is a need for this post to be there in the long term, then why have you not applied for keeping this post or converting it into a permanent post? Yes, Deputy Secretary. Thank you. I'll answer the second one first. Well, in terms of the creation of posts internally, we do exercise a lot of self-discipline because, in particular, if we were to create permanent posts, we usually would be a lot more careful. in dealing with that. That's the overriding principle. But then I agree with what the honourable member just said. If it's found that the post is needed in the long run, that is, if these functions turn out to be the core of our duties, then we would have no hesitation in converting it into a permanent post. And on the first point, on this particular colleague, what substantial duties will he has in the coming 2 years? Well, first of all, we will have to look at our internal deployment without increasing the number of posts. But then if there are more duties and tasks, then what are we going to do? So as you are aware, we'll be giving more tasks to this person. So other than advancing financial cooperation with the mainland, he will also have to be responsible for stepping up risk management, and he will also have to come up with a regulatory regime.
Yes, there can be different aspects of financial cooperation with the mainland. However, there are a few priorities. First, to intensify Hong Kong's or to further enhance our role as a renminbi offshore business center. So we would like to issue bonds for the country, and also our QFII as a new product. At first, it was only at 200 million, $20 billion, and only about 10% can be invested in bonds, and there are also some restrictions on the issuance. But after liaisons and discussion with ministers and ministries, I think the scope is now broadened and more organizations can participate, and we've increased the amount to $270 billion. So we have to keep up with our work. And we've also different cooperation platforms with different municipalities and provinces, including Guangdong Province, Shenzhen, and Shanghai and Beijing. We have cooperation platforms with them. Every year we have bilateral meetings with these places, and we will continue to enhance our efforts in this regard. And under CEPA, we will have to have follow-up measures. Supplement 10 has just been approved, and there are many measures that can benefit our financial sector. So there are still details to follow up. May I ask a short follow-up question regarding the mutual recognition of funds? I'd like to know whether it is being handled by the Bureau or by the Hong Kong MA. Thank you. Yes, this is within the scope of work of this officer. We play the role of coordination. Of course, we can't be involved in the discussions and negotiations of details. We rely on the relevant regulator to work out the details. For mutual recognition of funds, the SFC and also the relevant authority for regulation of futures and securities on the mainland are responsible for the discussions. And recently, this has made a popular, a regular agenda in Supplemental Agreement 10 of CEPA. So we have to follow up on this matter. SFC and also Futures and Security Commission of the mainland are the responsible parties. They are now considering the regulatory and monitoring aspects in greater details, and they need to deepen the discussions in the future. Mr. Cham Kam Lam. Yes, our development in the financial sector is very closely tied with the country. The country will set up a free trade zone in Shanghai. And one of the priority development areas is finance. We have ample opportunities to cooperate with Shanghai and other cities and provinces. So our financial cooperation with the mainland will only become closer and closer. We approved the post to run for 2 years in the last round. In fact, this should be made a permanent post. We have got 6 PAS. However, they are not involved in cooperation with the mainland. So this supernumerary post should be incorporated into the normal establishment. Otherwise, next year you have to come back to ask for another extension. So I'd like to know whether the work is temporary in nature or permanent. Given the nature of the duties, it should not be just a supernumerary post. For continuity of policies and liaison with the relevant authorities on the mainland, this post should be a permanent one. Of course, we will support your proposal this time because the schedule is tight. But after the paper is approved, please start studying how you can turn the post into a permanent establishment. And in answering Mr. Zheng's question, the Deputy Secretary did not tell us why it can't be a permanent post. So will you incorporate this post into your formal establishment as soon as possible? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your question and your understanding and support for our work. When considering whether a directorate post should be created, we are very cautious. This is a principle we adhere to strictly when in deploying resources. The post was created 2 years ago. Of course, we believe cooperation, financial cooperation with the mainland is a regular arrangement, and the liaison will only become closer and deeper. So once this paper is approved, we will very soon consider whether this post should be made permanent. We also have to review the distribution of work within the whole Bureau so as to come up with the best solution. We also have to go through the establishment mechanism of the government before we can make any proposal. But we are grateful to Mr. Chen for your support. Mr. Chen Kim-po, I was about to ask a similar question. To promote Hong Kong's offshore renminbi business center and to enhance financial cooperation with the mainland. This is something continuous, and I find it strange that you have not turned this into a permanent post. But as explained by the DS, the administration has to be very prudent and has to consider a series of factors before so doing. And I'm interested to know what the post has achieved in the past 2 years. And I think it's time to review the distribution of work among all the PAS, because after 2 years, I think it is the right time for you to review the overall manpower situation in the Bureau. So can you tell us what the post has achieved in the past 2 years? Thank you. Members may recall that in 2011, there was a great progress in terms of the development of offshore renminbi business center. When Premier Lee visited Hong Kong, he brought along a series of good news and also measures for the further development of renminbi business in Hong Kong. He was able to bring into effect a number of measures discussed in the past to this effect. Among the 36 measures, many of them were very specific and are already implemented in the past 2 years. For instance, promotion of the bond market is one example. The Finance Ministry in the past 2 years made very good progress in the issue of bonds. In the past, there may be one issue in every 2 years, but we have made it rather regular in Hong Kong recently. And for the bonds have maturity period of a few years to up to 30 years. And I hope that we were also able to set the yield for renminbi bonds in Hong Kong. And we've also got a bigger diversity of products. At first, it was only $20 billion. Now it's increased to $270 billion with a variety of products. We've got bonds and also ETF and also A shares. And we've also set up a mechanism for a flow back of renminbi. In the past, we've got deposits and also capital raising measures, and the renminbi could only stay in Hong Kong. But in the past couple of years, we're now able to ensure that renminbi funds could flow back to the mainland through direct investment programs. So the whole system is now improved and enhanced. So and we've also made very substantive progress in terms of CEPA. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, I support the proposals. And some members asked why this post is not made a permanent one. I tend to agree with them. Because in the past few years, we have seen very good progress in the development of renminbi business. And recently, new measures are also announced. I'm sure there will be more rapid development in the pipeline. So, DS, can you tell us if this post is made permanent, do you need a further boost in other manpower aspects? Because according to the industry, development in this area will only be more rapid. So I don't want you to do it in a piecemeal manner. Please tell us whether you need further manpower for further promotion of our renminbi business. Yes, this is an excellent proposal, and that is we should review our work in financial cooperation with the mainland and the corresponding manpower demand. Well, with 4 years of experience, After this round of extension, we will have secured enough experience to come to a conclusion. And I thank members' support for proposing to create a permanent post. And I agree that we should review our establishment seriously to cover even non-directorate staff. And as for the manpower deployment for cooperation with the mainland, we will certainly consider the manpower distribution in the whole bureau. Members should note that developments in the financial sector go by leaps and bounds, and it's true that there is a lot of work to be done, but we want to be more restrained in the creation of posts, and we will be cautious and prudent, and we will then secure and then we'll fight for more manpower resources from the administration. Deputy Chairman. Well, there are more and more new financial products in the market. Well, there's QV and also bonds in renminbi denomination. And the work is very complex and heavy, and there must be proper regulation and monitoring. CEPA allows securities companies of Hong Kong and the mainland to operate in one another's territory. But there are details such as the paid-up capital and registered capital and mutual recognition of manpower. And then the cooperation license is only restricted. And how can we communicate with the relevant departments in the mainland? And can SMEs and smaller stock operators be able to operate there?
Because this is a limited license, and for SMEs with smaller capital, will they be able to take part? So under the limited licensing system, I hope that some of the smaller firms will be able to take part. I think that would also help the overall development. So I think the future work will be very cumbersome and onerous. That's why I do welcome this proposal to retain this post. Deputy Secretary, well, under CEPA's supplements, well, in the financial or securities market, there are two important milestones. Number one, you have a full license. Well, as we know, the first joint venture company in Guangzhou is only providing consultancy service, but then under CEPA 10, it's going to be a full license in terms of the sale and purchase of securities. It will be allowed to run such business. And number two, in terms of the share business, in the past, usually it's 49% or below, and now it can be over 50%, i.e. 51% or above. So they can also start a business in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. So full license securities firms can be set up there. And as far as I understand it, as far as Hong Kong is concerned, the institution can actually have more than one outlet. So that will also facilitate our entry into the mainland market. There will be more flexibility. But then, as Mr. Cheung said, there are more details to be worked out, and we are actually working that out with the mainland regulatory authority. So that would be borne in mind when we take it up with the mainland authorities. Finally, it's my turn. Well, like other members, I also support this proposal. I also think that this post should be converted and made permanent, because if you look at the organization structure and also the duties list, we can see that the duties are rather onerous, and also the duties will need to be continued. because Hong Kong needs to further enhance its cooperation with mainland authorities, and we also have to comply with our international commitments. But then many members are concerned about the Shanghai Free Trade Area, and also the impact, certain trading cooperations impact on our financial market. So, Ms. Ngai, have you conducted any assessment on the development of such initiatives on Hong Kong's financial market? And if not, when? Well, in fact, the colleague responsible for that has accompanied the Financial Secretary and also the SFST to Beijing. That's why it shows that our work is really very onerous and cumbersome. Well, with regard to Shanghai's free trade area, well, definitely that would be covered by the colleague. With regard to the FTA, it's not just confined to the financial area. In fact, it will involve a number of issues, including trading, as we are all more familiar. We also have the negative checklist, and of course that might not have been included in the past, and therefore we're watching closely the development and their impact on the financial market. I've also noticed that next week, Mr. Chen Kam-lam would be moving a motion debate on the FTA, or the FTA in Shanghai. And also, as pointed out, with regard to offshore RMB development, we have already built a rather good foundation. And as far as Hong Kong is concerned, we do have the conditions, and we've already proven ourselves to be able to play a role as a pilot ground or a testing ground for some initiatives on the mainland. For example, if you look at our financial system, it's rather comprehensive and well built. But then in the future, we will have to further establish our ability to self-evolve and develop. And if it's successful, then we can also copy that onto other parts of the mainland. So we will have to be prepared for that. And yet at the same time, we also have to continue to scale new heights and enhance ourselves, because if we fail that, then we might lag behind. That's something that we have to bear in mind. We must not be complacent. But then for other parts, and also the outcome of our RMB reforms, well, in conjunction with other economies and other provinces and cities on the mainland, I think there will be more room for cooperation, because we are of the view that it's not a zero-sum game. When the pie is getting larger, then everybody will have a bigger chance of taking part and getting a share. And of course, I think for the details, we will have to leave that to next week's motion debate. Yes, once again, we'd like to thank the Deputy Secretary and your colleague. I hope that we'll be looking into that further. I think whether it's the Shanghai FTA or the Tianhai development, well, I think different provinces and cities are also striving for further development in the financial sector, and therefore, if Hong Kong wants to continue to be a financial center, we will have to work harder, and we will have to watch closely the developments in these areas. And for different bureaus, I think ultimately it's the CEDB which will be responsible for that, and it will have to come up with further initiatives from the administration, and we will have to strive to get further concessions from the central authorities and the relevant authorities. Okay. If there is no objection, then the administration will be submitting this proposal to the ESC. So we'll wrap up our discussion on this item here. Thank you.
Last
item one permanent chief assessor post in the tax treaty section, and one supernumerary chief assessor post in the stamp office of the Inland Revenue Department.
益增加和越趨繁雜。
As the item involves establishment proposals, other members of the Council have been invited to join us in our discussion. The administration can walk us through the paper if it's ready. Thank you, Madam Chair. Last month, the administration submitted a discussion item on today's item. Well, the proposal is to have two posts. One is to have a permanent chief assessor in the tax treaty section to deal with a number of initiatives in relation to tax treaties in Hong Kong, and another one is a supernumerary D1 post, is a CA post in the stamp office, is for a period of 3 years to strengthen support at the directorate level and to enhance the SO's capacity in the provision of support services for the implementation of various policy initiatives. Let me give you more details about the two posts and also their work. 3 years ago, about 2 years ago, in 2012 or 2011, 1st of April, we managed to get your approval for the creation of the supernumerary post, and that's to expand Hong Kong's network of comprehensive avoidance of double taxation agreements. And so after the signing of the agreements, we will have to implement this, including the exchange of information. We also have to issue some certificates on permanent residence and so on. We also have to engage in negotiations with other countries which have signed CDTAs with us. So we will have to take follow-up actions after those agreements have been signed. And the second post is about the stamp office post. And as you can see in the paper, Hong Kong is a relatively important financial center, both in the region and worldwide. And many enterprises would have to pay stamp duty, both locally or if the administration introduce any new initiatives that will also include or involve the charging of stamp duty. And that's why if you look at the quality and quantity of our work, we need to have extra manpower to deal with the work that would entail, including, as mentioned in the paper, we have some arbitration cases because, well, we have to agree on the amount of the transaction, and in the end, that would also involve the payment of a stamp duty. And the administration has also introduced the scriptless securities program, and later this year or early next year, the bill will be ready, and a lot of work will be involved. And finally, we have also proposed that a property management authority be set up. With regard to property management, the IRD will be responsible for charging this on behalf of the administration, and that would also require additional work. And just last year, the administration has tabled a bill before this council that is about the betting duty on horse races in Hong Kong, and some follow-up action will have to be taken. And last year, the administration also introduced a number of measures to curb speculation in the property market, and we've introduced the BSD, the SSD, and so on. And the bills are being scrutinized by this council right now. And if the bills are enacted, that would also require extra manpower. That's why there is a need for us to increase or set up these posts in order to do the work. Yes, Mr. Chen Kem Lam. Madam Chair, I support these two posts creation. I'd like to know a bit more about the second post. It's a supernumerary post for a period of 3 years. So I'd like to know, within the IRD right now, under the establishment of the IRD, are there other posts that are supernumerary, and for how long will they last? So how many more will be coming up? Under secretary or deputy secretary? Well, at present we only have one supernumerary post, and that's the chief assessor. So that was set up in April 2011, and that will last until 2014, March the 31st. So that's the existing CA post. No, we have already got that now. So what we are proposing is to replace it with a permanent chief assessor post, so that by the 1st of April 2014, it will be replacing the existing supernumerary post. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to refer the Deputy Secretary to Annex E and D. Is about the post for tax agreements. All right, apparently his duties do not include liaising with the state on tax agreements. So is it that this is not the responsibility of the chief assessor in negotiating and signing on the CDTAs?
Item 1 of Annex D, there's mention of this. He serves as the delegation head. He will lead delegations to other countries for such negotiations. Taken. Item 5. Mutual agreement procedure, including arbitration. Can you disclose to us how many cases are pending involving a mutual agreement procedure? Well, we've received inquiries, formal inquiries, none. We've received one, and we've also started negotiation with the counterparty. And for arbitration, well, we have got 29 comprehensive agreements, but we have not yet got any arbitration case so far. As for acceptable transfer prices, we have received 3 formal applications. We have discussed with the relevant company representatives, and we've received information from them, and we are of the view that they comply with the agreements, so we have accepted them as formal applications. We've also started negotiations with prospective countries. Chairman, Annex E is an organization chart of the tax treaty section. There are 10 colleagues from the IRD here. Well, there's the chief assessor. I'd like to know whether more manpower is needed under the chief assessor. I understand that in many government departments there is problem with succession. I'd like to know whether you have any succession problem when it comes to the ranks of chief assessor, senior assessor, and assessors. Thank you. Annex E. Involves turning the post of chief assessor from a supernumerary one to a permanent one. We have no intention to make further changes to the organization of the section for the time being. Is there any succession problem? Well, from time to time we do review our manpower needs. In the past few years, well, the tax treaty section was not of this size. Of course, there was the deputy commissioner, and he is also responsible for other duties. In the past, there was only one senior assessor, but we've already added 2 more, and there is already one more added. We have no intention to change the organization for the time being. Mr. Leung Sheng, para 4. is about discussions with many countries. On tax treaties. FTAs are starting to emerge in the mainland. I'd like to know whether FTAs will be your negotiation partners, or will you follow up on tax matters with FTAs? Because you plan to complete 6 such agreements. Will the new developments in the mainland affect your original program? Yes, we have arranged to negotiate with a number of jurisdictions in the coming year. Usually, such agreements are between jurisdictions and not between countries. Hong Kong is a special ministerial region. We are given the approval from the mainland to negotiate with jurisdictions. Mr. Ng talked about the establishment of FTA in Shanghai. In 2006, we had a comprehensive arrangements or agreements with the mainland. So with the establishment of the FTA in Shanghai, there may be the problem of double taxation. We have regular meetings with the General Ministry of Taxation of the country. And if we identify any taxation issues, we'll raise them at our meetings with the ministry so as to lower the taxation burden of Hong Kong companies operating in Shanghai FTA. You told us that there are already 29 CDTAs signed, and you told us that there would be a round of negotiation every 2 months. So I'd like to know whether your priority is according to the size of the jurisdiction or the date of signing the agreement. Well, that is a mutual. This depends on the mutual wish of jurisdictions. We discuss with chambers of commerce and also ETOs to see whether jurisdictions are interested in starting negotiations with us. We want such agreements to be able to help Hong Kong companies and Hong Kong people to invest in these jurisdictions. So in the past, we focused on jurisdictions that had very close economic and trading relations with us. So we have already completed 11 of the top 20 trading partners of Hong Kong. And the few we have listed here, such as South Korea, United Arab Emirates, and also India, are our major trading partners. For some of the jurisdictions, we would like to sign the agreements as soon as possible because they do have potential for further trading development with Hong Kong. In response to Mr. Ng's question, the countries listed out in Para 4 are jurisdictions where we are at various stages of negotiations. And we have, on average, 1 round of negotiations every 2 months. This based on our inquiries with the tax liaison group and also the relevant chambers of commerce. So we are confident that in the coming year we can enter into different stages of negotiations with the jurisdictions here. Any further questions, please? Mr. Kenneth Leung, I'd like to ask about the second post, that is the Chief Assessor post in the Stamp Office. All right. The 2 bills on stamp duty are not yet passed. So regarding pending cases such as ad valorem stamp duty and also a special stamp duties, I'd like to know how many cases are pending. Well, we have to vet all cases after the bills are enacted, regardless of whether the stamp duty is chargeable. Of course, we won't levy a stamp duty on all of these cases. That means you have to consider all the cases. Please refer to para 20. In November 2012 or 2010, we have got 55,000 transactions for residential properties pending. And starting from March 2013 onwards, we have no less than 16,000 transactions for non-residential properties. So these are cases after the announcement of the new measures, and all cases have to be scrutinized by our staff. And may I refer to Annex G? You will have a new post, stamp duty. I'd like to know whether he is responsible for property transactions. Yes. Well, at the higher level, you've got 2 posts, but what about further down the line? We have complaints from clients that the stamp office is so understaffed and they have to wait for a long time for the assessment of cases. So have you reviewed the overall establishment of the stamp office? Do you have enough manpower? No matter whether you talk about chief assessors or senior assessors, what about the manpower situation for grades further down? Well, in para 15, we have already set out our manpower planning. The CA will be created for 3 years, and then we have a chief assessor responsible for property transactions. And there will be 4 new assistant assessors. So there will be 8 posts to be created in total. Because of the special stamp duty, to carry out all the work of the stamp office. But you are so tight, manpower-wise, you are so tight, and pending approval of these new posts, how are you going to cope? And for SA and CA, will these posts be manned by internal promotion or open recruitment? Thank you. As far as possible, we just distribute the workload among colleagues. Because of the increase in workload, the officers would work extra hard to cope. And it's our usual practice to have internal promotion to fill the post, with the exception of assistant assessors and also assistant tax officers. Yes, please note the extra workload. Although the transactions are not that numerous, but you have to carry out a lot of work in examining the case. And recently there was a strike involving colleagues of the Lands Office. I don't want to see a similar incident in the IRD. And for the CDTA, have we ever asked for information from our partners involving exchange of information? So far, we have not make any applications for exchange of information, but internally, we've got all the procedures, protocol ready. Whether there is any application depends on the needs of the case. We can only make an application when there is a need. We cannot do it on an arbitrary basis because the other party would ask for justifications. Hong Kong's tax system is very special. We levy tax on the basis of source of income. Having said so, we may have the need to apply for information from other jurisdictions. Is it mainly for a better understanding of a particular enterprise, for instance, about its activity in the mainland? Yes, that's one of the possible scenarios, but we can also make requests in relation to individuals. I think when the agreements were concluded, we knew that we will be the requested party more often than the requesting party. Mr. James Tan, the Liberal Party is against all forms of special stamp duty, or all forms of stamp duties. And therefore, we're against the creation of a post to tackle stamp duty issues. All right, with the exception of Mr. James Tan, is there anyone who objects to the creation of these two posts? Deputy Secretary. Yes, we appreciate Mr. James Tan's position as well as the LP's position as stated in the relevant bills committee. But for the second post, this is a directorate post. The creation of this supernumerary post is not just to cope with the backlog of stamp duty cases. Rather, in the coming 3 to 5 years, there will be a series of stamp duty measures related, including the scriptless, including scriptless securities, and also a levy for the property management industry. So we need to boost the directorate support of the stamp office to carry out these new measures. And for the backlog of stamp duty cases, as said by the Commissioner, well, they rely on sharing of workload among existing officers and also non-directorate officers to help. So we appeal to Mr. James Tan and LP to reconsider their position.
Mr. James Tan, all right, I'll be prepared to listen more. So how much time will be dedicated to this, and how much time would be on the new stamp duties, that is the SSD or the BSD and so on. So is it 30-40% or about half of the time will be for the new stamp duties? Well, as I've pointed out, in the past, the stamp office would be mainly focusing on the charging of the stamp duty, whether or not it's about property transactions or securities trading. But then in recent years, as we are also involved in the issuance of Islamic bond, so we are also coming up with the stamp duty regime for Islamic bond that would also constitute a very substantive part of its work, and also for the Jockey Club introducing the bilateral this two-way commingling for horse races, and so that would also, looking into the future, when we decide on the future stamp duty to be charged, and we will also be tabling a bill before this council. That's why the new stamp office head will also have to deal with that. And of course, Mr. Tian also referred to the new stamp duties under the SSD, BSD, and so on. And therefore, for the chief assessor, he will also have to come up with manpower planning for this. That's why if you set out those duties, I think that would constitute about 1/5 of his work. All right, Mr. Tian, would you be prepared to support that? So would you be against that? All right, I'll go back and think about it. So Mr. Tian will be withdrawing his statement against this. So next time at the ESC or the FC meeting, you will have to give him further information to justify that. Okay, so with no objection, the administration will be going to the ESC, and we will wrap up our discussion on this. So we managed to finish a bit earlier than expected, And once again, thank you, members and officials, for your cooperation. Anything to raise under AOB? If not, then our meeting is adjourned. So please note the schedule for the next meeting. Thank you.